New York City, the only place you can see the Statue of Liberty. Oh, never mind. The only place you can see the Empire State Building. No. Okay. New York City, the only place you can ride this superlative car, the Fisker Ocean. Okay, not technically the only place, but unless you know one of the few thousand individual owners out there, you won't be getting the chance outside the Big Apple. See, Fisker, the company that made these things, experienced a truly spectacular downfall about 1 year after they started selling them, and in the bankruptcy proceedings that followed, all their unsold cars, there were many, ended up as New York City Lyfts, Ubers, and other for-hire cars. So today, here at Half as Interesting, we're looking at how this all went down, and that starts with how Fisker, and I quote, botched virtually every task it took on. This is Mr. Fisker. In 2007, he founded Fisker Automotive, which went bankrupt in 2013. Undeterred, 3 years later, he started Fisker Inc., the company that would eventually make the Ocean. No, the Ocean. The Ocean has already been made. Come on, guys. Anyway, the Ocean was Fisker's first and only car. It's an electric SUV with such features as eco-leather interiors and a full-length sunroof that, in some models, also has solar panels to charge the car's battery. Also, a setting called California mode that drops the sunroof and all the windows, including the back one and the little ones on the side. Rad. In 2023, Fisker built about 10,000 Oceans, putting the Earth's measly 4 to shame. They only delivered just under half of those 10,000, which isn't great, but what was worse is that everyone who had one seemed to hate it. Now, I don't have time to enumerate all the Ocean's problems, but here are some. No cruise control. Key fob doesn't work consistently. Driver doors sometimes won't open from the inside. Hood flying up on the highway. Non-compliant warning lights. Plastic straws and turtleneck. Oh, come on, guys. Seriously? Fisker's Ocean came out in June 2023. By January 2024, just 6 months later, they were under investigation by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. February, another investigation, and that scathing review from Marquez Brownlee that hardly helped matters. March, Fisker cut their price by almost 40%, and the New York Stock Exchange moved to stop trading them. April, another investigation. May, can you believe it? Another investigation. June, first recall, the one about the warning lights issue, and 4 days later, bankruptcy filing. Again, I'm not going to go into everything that went wrong with the Fisker because I really want to get to how all their cars ended up Ubering tourists from the bull statue to the Lion King. But just one more thing before we move on. Fisker, while still a company, was so bad at tracking customer payments that they seemingly delivered some of their $70,000 cars without collecting any payment at all and lost track of literal millions of dollars. The trouble with a company like Fisker imploding is that there were still Fisker cars on the road with Fisker parts running on Fisker software. Owners of these cars were concerned that if their cars got damaged, there'd be no replacement parts. Fisker made precious few in the first place. Also, who was going to manage their software once Papa Fisker was gone? Driven by these concerns, in the same week Fisker declared bankruptcy, they formed the Fisker Owners Association with a mission to, quote, help owners navigate present-day challenges and advocate for the long-term viability of our vehicles. Which, hey, sure, I get it. I'm over a decade into running the ZOA, advocating for the continued viability of my Zune, and I'm also having trouble sourcing parts. There was a lot to sort out and pay for in the bankruptcy proceedings, and just about Fisker's only assets were 3,231 unsold Oceans, which they asked the court's permission to sell at about $14,000 a pop, or about $46.25 million overall. The buyer? American Lease, the largest of the companies that rent out taxi limousine commission-plated cars to rideshare drivers in New York City. But why would they drop tens of millions of dollars on a bunch of electric SUVs that risk being rendered obsolete in their company's downfall? The answer is this. New York City's Green Rides initiative from 2023, which says that by 2030, all rideshare vehicles will have to either be wheelchair accessible or zero emission. American Lease mostly leases emission-y Toyotas, and while they did and do have some Toyota EVs, those things retail for about $40,000 each. To replace an entire fleet with them would be pricey. In early 2024, the car rental company Hertz was selling off some old Teslas, and American Lease was thinking of buying, till one of their execs was reading about Fisker's downfall and thought to himself, bet we could get those for cheap. And indeed, they could. In the end, American Lease paid about $16,000 each for about 2,800 Fisker Oceans. But like other Ocean buyers before them, their purchase came with headaches. One big one being managing all that software. Basically, they had plans to have a different company, Indigo, take care of all their Fisker software, but it turned out that if they did that, that company would control the software on every Fisker in the world, which did not please the FOA. After a while, they negotiated a way to move American Lease's ocean software under Indigo's management and leave the rest in the hands of the FOA. But all to say, these aren't the kind of problems you deal with when you buy Toyotas. American Lease's Fisker fleet hit New York City's chipper streets in March 2025 with about 1,000 out and about by the end of the summer. Their goal is to get up to 2,500 on the road, with the rest on standby to be replacements or scrapped for parts. Drivers can rent them for as low as $280 a month, less than, say, a Camry, but then you also have to spend some of your time charging it. And going back to HQ to get your car reset because, and this is true, they sometimes get stuck in California mode. Can you imagine being stuck on California mode in New York City? I shudder to think. Luckily, I have never been in anything resembling California mode in my life. All those Fisker Ubers and Lyfts get repaired here at BHP Service Center, a shop that, thanks to American Lease buying all those Fiskers, has developed a specialty in repairing this very specific out-of-production car. They bought up damaged Oceans and spares from Fisker to eventually use for parts, and are even working on manufacturing their own Fisker replacement parts, something Fisker never took much interest in. Private owners sometimes call BHP for parts they can use to fix their Oceans, but the shop says no, they only service American Leases. But look, for as much of a wreck as this company was, and for all the car's faults, the Ocean is, in many ways, a good rideshare car. Even Marquez Brownlee said it had the, quote, best backseat experience of any competitive EV, and it's got enough trunk space to get your family of 4 suitcases from LaGuardia to the Lion King. American Lease expects them to survive 150 to 200,000 miles, or about 4 years, as a rideshare car. Oddly, not enough time to reach the Green Rights deadline, but hopefully enough for the US EV market to catch up to the parts of the world where you can buy a normal EV for $16K rather than buying out fire sale inventory from a flop company. Now, will you ever be able to get a normal $16,000 EV in the United States? Tough to say. The government's tone on EVs seems to change every time we change presidents, which we may or may not ever do again, and the current one's priority list doesn't seem to be including lowering the price of EVs. So who knows where we'll be in 2030. But for now, Fisker Oceans join the Nissan NV200 and Checker Marathons in the hall of cars you only really see as for-hire vehicles in New York. Congrats, guys! And congrats to me, because pretty soon a docuseries I shot along with the whole team at Wendover about the largest, wildest scavenger hunt in the world is finally about to come out. It's called Scav, and the only place to watch it is this video's sponsor, Nebula. Nebula is an independent streaming service started by a bunch of creators like myself, and you can watch all the videos we post on here on there with no ads, which is fun. But what's even more fun are Nebula Originals. Big, ambitious projects that combine the scrappy DIY creativity of YouTubers with the budget and polish of Hollywood productions. Scav is one of those. We brought a whole film crew to the University of Chicago to capture 4 days of complete chaos, and couldn't be more excited to bring you along for the ride. So if you want to watch Scav, or other originals like 2 guys try to ride a train from the Arctic Circle to Africa, or Maggie Mayfish talks about adult problems with a bunch of appliances, or comedian PowerPoint fight, you simply must sign up for Nebula. And good news, with the link below, you can get 40% off an annual subscription. And if you're not in the mood for another subscription, you can get a lifetime membership. Pay once, have Nebula forever. That price just went up to $500, but with my link, you can still get it for the original $300 price. So, go, go, go!